I've got another video for you. This one's kind of interesting because this is a product that is now available in the United States that we've been wanting and arguing about and generally saying it isn't going to happen for about 20 years, 25 years, maybe longer. So this is the Royal Alloy. It's being imported to the United States by our friends over at Genuine Motorcycle Company or Genuine Scooter Company. They've been bringing us scooters like the Stella since 2002 and the Buddy since 2006. We have had a long, really good relationship with Genuine Scooter Company, Genuine Motorcycle Company. They've brought some things into the United States market that are great and really exciting and fun for us. The Stella was something that we desperately needed. We had been asking for a two-stroke, four-speed, manual-bodied, throwback retro Vespa scooter, and they brought it to us. And then with the Buddy scooter in 2006, they brought us a bike that was an affordable, low-cost competitor, a vintage-style bike that anybody could ride, and it turns out absolutely bulletproof, a lot of fun to ride. So we really expect big things from Genuine, and this is no exception with the Royal Alloy. Now, you don't have to be around too long to understand that the second you say the word Lambretta, you've started a range war. People feel very passionately about Lambrettas. Lambretta was, of course, a product of the tn'g company from starting way back in 1949 or what have you, and it went up until 1972. That's the last time that a Lambretta was manufactured in Italy. After that, the tooling went off to Spain, and it eventually ended up in India with a company called Scooters India Limited. And they hold the patent, the copyright on the name Lambretta to this very day. So anybody that has used the word Lambretta outside of a clothing company or something like that has been doing it really illegally because it is, I did check, and SIL, Scooters India Limited, does own that trademark, the word Lambretta, right now to this very day. Now, Scooters India Limited hasn't built a Lambretta scooter that we would identify as a Lambretta scooter since 1997. So you talk about abandoning a trademark or abandoning a product, really that's kind of what happened in this case. Now, our history with Lambretta in the past 20 years has been really, really sketchy. From Frank Sanderson, who started this company called Scooters Innovations, they're really, they are fantastic. He has done so much. He started by taking strange motors out of dirt bikes and things like that and putting them in custom hand-built frames that would be rolled out as a very vintage-looking Series 1, 2, or 3 Lambretta, but it has some kind of a kick-ass, Yamaha or Honda dirt bike motor in it. And then he started doing more with the 250cc automatic motors that were available in some of the Piaggio products of the time. We're talking about 10, 11, 12 years ago. And Frank Sanderson was doing that, and they came up with this idea between him and Paul Malici from PM Tuning, which is another very respected, very appreciated company for all of us performance tuners and guys that run loud pipes and performance tuning on our bikes. PM Tuning has done wonderful things to keep the old Lambrettas and the Vespas fast and viable in today's more upbeat traffic. You could really do a lot with your vintage Vespa or Lambretta. So Frank Sanderson, Paul Malici, they started a company called Scomati, and they came up with some really cool throwback tributes to the Lambrettas we know and love, the Series 3s in particular. If you look behind me, you'll see we've got a Series 3 and a Series 2 behind me right now. What they had done, though, was after kind of shopping it around, they decided they were going to have the thing manufactured for them in China. And they ran into a company that was called Jiangsu Hanway. And that company's not a very old company. They started in about 2002. Best I can tell, they have about 250, 260 employees. And they gave the design to Jiangsu Hanway. And Jiangsu Hanway had the design, they had the drafts, they had all of the intellectual property that Scomati had put together. And they were in fact building the bikes for Scomati. And it looked like they were using SYM motors, which is Sanyang Motor Company, which those are pretty great motors. They're held in high regard. And they were building this product, this fabricated, total clean sheet build, but then they started selling it. Hanway started selling it in the same markets that Frank and Paul at Scomati were selling it, and competing with them. Now, this is where we started, we have our feelings about China. We talk about things from China in our shop, in our podcasts, in our YouTube videos. And this is one of those situations where going to China can really get you in trouble. They had taken their intellectual property, they had taken it to China, they had signed a contract to have the thing manufactured. And I'm not going to give you all the gory details, I'm just going to give you the data as it's put out by their own website, by Scomati's own website. And there's Facebook groups that do nothing but argue about this topic. Best I can tell, though, it looks like what happened is the front door outrolled the Scomatis, and at a lower price on the back door outrolled the Royal Alloys. And there was a court case, and as of recently, there has been something on the Scomati website that says we have agreed to exist and do our own thing as a company outside of Hanway. And Hanway, or Jiangsu Hanway, they'll be doing their own thing too. And I think if we can translate that is that Royal Alloy, I keep doing that, Royal Alloy is going to be producing the bike as Scomati wanted it to be, Generation 1, let's call it, whereas Scomati has sought manufacturing in Thailand, and they're building the bike with some changes and with some updates for their markets. Now, what does this come down to us and the word Lambretta? Well, there's a third player in the game. The third player is Lambretta V. And Lambretta V, best as I can tell, is an SYM fiddle with different bodywork on it. It's a different bodywork fiddle, and that bike is being sold all over the UK right now. You can go look at a couple of different, there's Carnaby Scooters. It seems to be like they were the first UK seller or distributor of the Lambretta V. When you look at it, you can tell that it's very much still a SYM, still very much a fiddle. Now, here's the question to the US consumer, because right now this argument has been going on for 2 or 3 years in the UK. In the United States, though, it's not much of an argument at all because your choice is one. Regardless of whether or not you feel strongly about Scomati having the claim to the Lambretta design or the Lambretta fabrication, or they have earned it more, which I think I probably fall into that camp, or Lambretta V being distributed by SYM, well, the people who are distributing SYM in the United States have not shown me that they're bringing the Lambretta V into this country. So that leaves us with the Royal Alloy. And keep in mind that Genuine is not a dumb company. I'm sure that their desire to bring in a Lambretta has been pretty high, and they've managed to do it. Now, I'm going to assume that they have attempted to work with the other players, and that it was Royal Alloy that shot them a deal that they were willing to work with to get the product into this country. Okay, now we've talked about the parentage. It's here, which we should be celebrating. And instead of celebrating the fact that it's here, I'm watching people on the internet just tear it to shreds. Well, meanwhile, if they haven't ridden it and they don't own it, they don't have a dog in the fight other than maybe their own personal emotional dog in the fight. If they're having an opinion on it too loudly, we invite them to come and test drive the bike, check it out. Because we did exactly that for our podcast. We had about 12 guys in here who all ride different kinds of bikes, and we all took the bike out for a ride. And one of the guys even took it on the freeway on 480, and they took it out and they ran it. Claimed speed was 68 miles per hour. I'm hoping that was downhill with a tailwind. I've had the bike up to about 65 indicated. I have not tested it yet to find out how accurate that speedometer is, but it will get up to 65 indicated on a digital speedometer. About the bike itself. The bike is a 150cc automatic transmission scooter. It still has a kickstart on it. But the one thing it doesn't have that we really like around here is it doesn't have fuel injection. And we really, really like when bikes have fuel injection around here. In fact, we're kind of the team where we stopped ordering bikes that don't have fuel injection, because winters in Cleveland can be pretty bad and the bikes have to go in storage for a very long time. So this really is a bike that does a faithful job of reproducing the vintage Lambretta look. They've done a hell of a job. It has some really cool features. First of all, it has a combined braking system. For people who aren't in the know, that means that this bike has a front disc brake and a rear disc brake. And when you pull either lever, left or right, you are getting a distribution of braking energy across both of those brakes. I will say this bike does stop very, very well. They're using what appears to be an original style Lambretta Series 3 front fork with external dampeners and springs. So the shock absorbers spring combination is on the outside of the bike. And it does appear to be a very good bit of design. Now, it has a very limited travel, so a lot of modern scooters and modern motorcycles will have 3 or 4 inches of travel on the front end. This bike doesn't seem to have that much travel. It is very adjustable though, and that's an adjustable front suspension. That's something you don't get all the time. And this bike does have a very easy to adjust front suspension. Due to the design, there is no underseat storage area. It does have a generous glove box in the front. There is a USB charging port inside that glove box, but there is no underseat storage area. The gas tank holds, as best as I can tell, well over 2.5 gallons. So that's a generous size fuel tank for a 150cc scooter. You are going to notice for the American market, it does have these ridiculous little turn signals here. These ridiculous little turn signals are what is needed to get the bike through DOT approval, because the lenses down here, the turn signals down here, are not wide enough apart to be DOT approved in our market. So these little ancillary or secondary signals come. I'll bet you it wouldn't be too hard to make those disappear and activate these lower ones if you wanted that particular look for your bike. Again, it's fully automatic. There's no shifting on here whatsoever. It is not liquid cooled. It is standard air cooling. It's got a forced air pump. It is metal. This is important. This is a metal scooter. So the headset is metal. The leg shields are metal. The center frame is metal. The side panels are metal, and the leg shields themselves are metal. The horn casting, not metal. The front fender, not metal. The rest of it is metal. Comes from the factory with a cool little sprint rack on the back, so you can add a top case or luggage to your own desire. It does feel tall when you're riding it. A lot of the people that we've let ride the bike have all commented that it does feel like it's kind of tall up in the air. So, and it does have kind of a wide butt. There's no nicer way to put it. I do know that Scomati, in their design of the bikes they're bringing in from Thailand, they've addressed that, and they were more streamlined, more in sync with the Jetstream or Starstream. You know, Lambretta came up with what they call the Slim style for Series 3. Innocenti came up with that design, the Slim style. It was a more tapered back end, and that is what a lot of people love about the design of the Series 3. If you get behind one of these, they do look a little chubby in the back. And I believe that Scomati did narrow them up in their later production units that are available right now. It does ride on some very nice alloy wheels. Some people have complained that they don't look the part for a vintage scooter, but I can tell you from riding it, at 60 miles per hour, it feels very stable. The bike does not feel weird. It doesn't feel cheaply made. We always have the handlebar test where you can sit on a scooter and pull the handlebars back towards you. And on some bikes, you know, like the Yamaha Vino and some Chinese bikes, you can pull that headlight back to you quite a distance. That suggests the frame isn't very rigid at all. On these bikes, it's very rigid. The frame feels really good. In a corner, the bike feels very planted, very, very stable. We will get some more information. We'll do some more speed testing. We're going to put some more miles on these bikes. Why? Well, because we're really interested. And as with any product that comes out of China, we maintain a sort of cautious optimism. We want everything to be great, but we understand what happens with products that come from China. And this is a great story. If you don't go into this story going, Jesus, what happened? You know, here's a bike that showed up to a factory to be built, and everybody trusted everybody that, hi, I got a design, you're going to build it for me. And then while you're building it for me, you're also building it for yourself and shooting it out the back door at a lower price, competing with my design and my product in my market. Well, that's a crappy thing to do to somebody. So that has an icky feeling about it, and we don't care for that. The product itself, what is being produced, so far we're sitting at, so far we're liking it. Ethics be damned, we're testing the product itself. We're not testing the ethics behind it, we're testing the product. Whether the ethics is something you can live with or something that is going to cause, is there enough demand to justify somebody making a call to Scomati and bringing their products into the United States? Is there enough of a demand for somebody to contact Alliance Power Sports and tell them they need to bring in the Lambretta V? They're already bringing in SYM. So if they're already bringing in SYM, why not bring in Lambretta V? If you want backstory, if you want to know more about the Lambretta wars, our friend Peter Lundgren did a fantastic job on his website, carazzo.net. Go to his website and look it up. He does a great job of laying out the history, the Phase Zero prototype, and all the things that happened. We didn't even mention, you know, tn'g and their Adley branded Taiwan bike that had a Lambretta badge on it. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of layers to that cake. So go check those guys out. Again, with us, remember, if you have any questions or you have any comments, you can put them right in the bottom of this, and we do answer all of our comments. If you want to know more and you want to find out about other videos we're posting, ring that bell, that's a subscribe, and that will help make sure that we get this information to you as quickly as possible. We are producing more videos, answering more questions about bikes that we carry here at the shop. Remember to get in touch with us at ClevelandMoto.com, and by all means, ride fast and take chances.